Welcome in, Big Blue Nation, to another episode of the Cats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Johnston, joined by my co-host, Jacob Boyers. Jacob, obviously not what we want to be doing on a Thursday afternoon. See, the week's going by so slow at this point now because we're all in mourning after the Cats fell 96-88 to Louisville. Fourth win since the Obama administration, and boy, is that fan base sounding off after getting it. Mikel Brown and Ryan Conwell were fantastic in that game, and the Cats were anything but did find a way to cut it down to 4 at one point with a 1-1 by Jalen Lowe. Never got close enough to that either. Jacob, give me some of your takeaways because I'm disheveled over here. I'm heartbroken. Obviously, this is a big rivalry. I think it means more for U of L fans because obviously it's been so long, but definitely not how we want to start the season.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, a really big win for them. I mean, even the announcers were saying, first sellout since COVID for them.
2017.
Like they were fired up. And I'm not gonna, pull the card of enjoy your Super Bowl or whatever, because it was a huge game for them, and it was honestly a huge game for us. And
Yep.
I just thought, they came out with the intensity to start the game, and we had certain players that I know we'll dive into that just did not match that intensity or played within the realms of the kind of game they should have played. And for me, the biggest thing was the first half defense, really the first almost 30 minutes defensively. Like, it was so bad. I mean, you had guys just completely lost on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, we thought this would be a much better defensive team from a year ago. And for the first 30 minutes, it looked significantly worse than a year ago. I mean, how many screens did they go under to give, Conwell or Brown an open three? How many times did somebody leave McNeely in the corner to run down and coming out of positions at times they didn't have to come out of positions. It just felt like all five guys on the floor were completely lost. And I don't get it. I didn't understand it. We talked before. I said, the way you lose this game is if, I said more so Conwell, but it, goes to Malik Brown too. If you just let them get crazy hot from behind the arc, and Brown's a superstar. We don't have anybody quite that talent on this team. I mean, I think he's going to be a pretty good NBA player down the line, but I didn't understand why we went underneath every single screen. I didn't understand a lot of what we did defensively. So that was the biggest takeaway for me. In the last 10 minutes, they did show a lot better defense. So maybe it's fixable. I expect this team to be better defensively, but obviously, third game of the year, first true road game of the year. It's not insane to lose this game, but I do think falling behind 18 and then 20 in two different situations is not really the effort defensively that we expected to see out of this group.
Yeah, and make no mistake about it, Louisville was easily the better team on Tuesday night. And so far in the early season, they have been better than the Cats have. And that goes to those exhibition games as well. I think that's kind of why we raised some of those caution flags after the Georgetown game specifically about guards that look like they can give you problems. And that's probably why we spent so much time talking about Mikel Brown and Ryan Conwell before this game. It felt like we might have talked more about those two than the staff did before the game because, those guys had open looks wherever they needed it, whenever they could. Any time and way they could change to get Denzel Aberdeen or Colin Chandler off of them, they were scoring. If they had Otega Owe or Jalen Lowe on them, they were going to the cup or pulling back for three. And if those are supposed to be your two star players, I kind of mentioned that to you. Their stars showed up. Our stars did not. And our stars didn't show up on either side of the ball. And their stars showed up. And crazy games from both of them. And I don't know, man. I know I'm a little bit more down on this than I think you are just because of how I came in this season looking at Otega Owe and seeing this performance, especially against your biggest rival. I can't get myself to a point in which I can get back to the excitement of what I was feeling 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Otega, I know we're going to spend a lot of time on him, so I guess let's get into it. I've been a pretty big Otega supporter, I think. I mean, there were times last year, we both kind of talked about there were moments where I felt like his effort wasn't fully there, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But I think you were even probably a little more critical and have been than I have. I, have defended him and supported him a lot. But like, this was as bad of a performance as he could have had. And it started at the very beginning of the game with the turnover, and then just defensive mistake after defensive mistake, lack of effort after lack of effort. I mean, 5 turnovers, 5 missed threes. We're not seeing the Otega we saw a year ago. Maybe it's because he missed 10 weeks. I don't really buy that as a, senior. The injury, I don't think was anything absurd. Like, it shouldn't be taking him all this time to like ramp back up. But just the aggressiveness on the offensive side, even like he's not driving to the basket. He's not looking to get into the lane. All the things that made him so good a year ago. I mean, we watched him at the last, 10 minutes of a game at Oklahoma, just go to the rim and say, nobody's going to stop me. Like, there wasn't one effort of that Tuesday night. And I really don't know. I don't know if it's because NBA scouts were there and everybody said he needed to work on his jump shot. So he was trying to show that he's a jump shooter. But what they said 3 times in his career, he's taken over 5 threes, and you take 6 of them in this game and go 1 for 6. I just thought the Otega performance was as disappointing as it could be. And for a guy that you had aspirations of being a first team All SEC, preseason SEC player of the year, you can't have him go out there against your biggest rival in a top 12 team, now going to be a top 10 team, and go out there and play that way on their home floor and really expect to have a chance. Honestly, the fact that Colin Chandler and Denzel Aberdeen and late in the second half put you back to a 4-point game, I think shows a lot just based from them. But I didn't see one positive sign from Otega on Tuesday.
Yeah, and a part of that the reason I think I'm so frustrated is just because like I saw a lot of this last year. And you mentioned the Oklahoma game. I mean, both of them. There were points and times in which Otega would try and take over when he could. But I think that's something last year's team needed a lot more of. I don't think that's something that I don't think we need a guy to just drive to the lane when we only have 10 seconds left on the shot clock to go put up a shot. I just don't think that's something that we need for this year's roster. I don't want to say I'm done and out on Otega. I just genuinely don't know where he fits on this team because we can get into it, and I think we probably will. I don't think there's ever a point in time where you can run out him, Muhammad Diabate, and Brandon Garrison all on the floor together. I mean, that's just 3 of the 5 guys. 3 of the 5 guys just can't shoot a lick at all that are out there. And with Jalen's not a great shooter either. I mean, Denzel's a pretty solid shooter. If that's your starting 5 that you're running out there, I think we're going to have some big problems. And then I just don't know. I don't think Mark Pope is going to make that change at any point. Otega was clearly the worst player on the floor in this game. I don't think anyone is denying that. And the lack of effort is the thing that is so concerning to me. It's just, if you can't get him up for this game, you mentioned the NBA scouts being there. At no point in time do I ever want to see Otega Owe shooting 6 threes. I genuinely don't care how open he is. I think 2 of them were open and in the flow of the offense. The other 4 were just on his own volition, I think he took 2 pull-up threes in this game. I don't care if he just pulled up from half court and drilled it. At no point do I want to see Otega taking a out of the flow of the offense 3-pointer. And he just did time and time again. It seems like I don't want to say selfish because that's not who I think Otega Owe is. But I think he's playing selfishly right now. And that's something that's given me a lot of concern because I think if we're playing to where Otega is going to be our best offensive player, that's how we get our traditional buckets going down the line. I genuinely don't think this team will be very good.
Yeah, I think there's just got to be one, you want him to do what he's good at. So, like, to your point, I don't want him taking really any threes. I am fine if you run the offense and you get him a wide open look in the corner for him to take that. Like, you almost have to as a guard. So, like, those ones, to your point, the 2 that came within the flow of the offense, he made one of the 2. If those were the only 2 he shot, I think we would look at it a lot differently. But I want him to be aggressive when the moment kind of gets to that. So, like, to your point, you get under 10 seconds for some reason the offense hasn't worked, then give it to Ortega and just let him go one-on-one and try to get to the rim. The Brandon Garrison and Diabate thing, like, that's a real issue. I really like Diabate. We both really praised him in every game up until this point. I don't think he played well Tuesday night, but I still really like him. But I think you're going to have to play him at the 5 a lot. And I think you're almost going to have to squeeze Brandon Garrison's minutes completely out. I mean, it's no secret. I've been extremely critical of BG a lot, but with the way that Malachi Moreno is playing and showing that he can give you, probably 20 minutes every game as a backup big, or even maybe in certain situations starting. But like, I just think you're almost going to have to, until JQ gets back, you're going to have to go small and play Diabate at the 5 a lot with, we saw a lot of really good things from Cam Williams with Cam Williams out there. Just think about how much different this offense would look if you go Diabate, a shooter at the 4, Aberdeen, Chandler, and, Ortega with the low injury. I think this offense, it just fits a lot better. And then at times, instead of Diabate, Malachi Moreno, I think that's the much better fit for, one, how Pope wants to play, but just two, in general, it's going to be the way this team scores the offense. I was so disappointed with Brandon Garrison as someone that's been critical of him, but I also told you, I picked him to be my MVP of this game. I thought he would just come out with
it.
I just fully expected that, he would have a level of energy that we've seen him showcase at times throughout last year. I thought this would be the kind of game where he came out and kind of had that dog in him a little bit, and I didn't expect him to be the MVP because of anything he did on the, offensive side of the ball. I told you I think he would be the MVP, scoring like 6 or 8 points, just hitting a couple shots here or there. But he was another guy just completely lost on defense. I don't know how many times he rotated to the wrong spot. He is so bad at guarding the pick and roll with a guard.
Nobody was good in this game. Honestly, yeah. I think Jelovich might have been the best guy guarding the pick and roll. He had a couple times,
which is crazy,
where Mikel Brown got switched on to him, and he actually made him take.
He did a good job.
Shots. And I think that's my biggest cause for concern. Like, you look at the way Pope wanted to construct this roster, it was to get better on the defensive side of the ball. Where have we gotten better on the defensive side of the ball? I think Ortega's already taken a step back from his lackadaisical defense last year. Obviously, you get a significant downgrade going from Lamont Butler to Jalen Lowe. That's already evident just in 3 games. Denzel Aberdeen, you might take a step up there from him to Jackson Robinson. Amari Williams to Brandon Garrison, taking a huge step down there. Andrew Carr, you took away so much offensive firepower by not going after certain guys to be able to cover up your main deficiency. We thought Pope could, get offense out of any guys that he needed to. And, we're saying all of this. We did still score 88 points. I understand it might sound a little ridiculous that we're criticizing this offense so much. But if you're going to go out there and build this team to be a defensive juggernaut, or just at least good enough to get you into the top 12 of defensive rankings to take you to that next step, they've got to be a hell of a lot better than this. Because you even saw, I don't think Louisville's going to be a great defensive team, but how many times, especially on pick and rolls and screens, we were starting our offense at 35 feet away consistently the entire first half, and even the first 10 minutes going into that second half. The reason I'm so concerned, and I get it. It's one game. I know that. But I'm also looking back at the Georgetown game, and you're starting to see the Jalen Lowe injuries already carrying over into another game. He gets hurt today at practice. You've got that. I don't know what lineup's going to work. Because I generally don't think, and I love Jaden Quaintance. I love the potential of Jaden Quaintance. I don't think adding him to that game Tuesday changes anything. I think Kentucky still loses. I think we still get boat raced. I think Louisville still kicks our ass. And the thing that concerns me the most is I don't know what lineup will work. That Pope will do. Because he's not going to take Ortega out of the lineup. Ortega's going to be in that lineup. Ortega's going to play 30 minutes a game. And if Ortega's not playing well defensively, which he's consistently shown you that he's not going to take that step, I don't really know what he's offering this team. Because right now, Pope mentioned our defense is not positioned to get a bunch of steals. What is Ortega great in? Transition offense. Ortega's really good in transition offense. We can't get out in transition right now. So there goes one of his biggest assets. He can't shoot. He can't facilitate. He had 5 turnovers, only 2 assists in this game, especially for a guy who has the ball in his hands as much as he's going to. Right now, I just don't see the value that Ortega's adding, and it's so evident in the plus minus. And when you look at some of the different lineups that we ran out there, like I think our best lineup was with Cam Williams, Yelovich, Lowe, Aberdeen, and uh, Colin Chandler. I think we were +8 over 4 minutes. And those are guys that it felt like Pope was refusing to play. Cam Williams doesn't get in until 13 minutes left in the game, and then plays the rest of the entire game. Yelovich comes out, goes 3 for 3 from the field, and doesn't really sniff the floor again. I think this is probably, outside of maybe that Ohio State game last year, probably Coach Pope's worst coaching performance that he's done. And it's got me very worked up, as you can tell. I just went on a 4-minute rant by myself. I don't know, man. I'm going to need you to talk me off of a ledge because I'm seeing a lot of similar things that happened last year, but I don't see the ways in which we're going to cover them up. Last year, I saw the ways we could cover it up and get to a Sweet 16. You could have Kobe Bryant go crazy from 3. You could have Amari take over a game with his passing and his ability to finish around the rim. I don't see that, and I just don't know where the answers are going to come from. Because if you ask me to put together a starting lineup right now that I'd feel comfortable with, first off, it's going to start with Jalen Lowe at the 1. He's probably not even going to play on Friday. And then you got to test on Tuesday against Michigan State. I don't know, man. I'm on the side of the bridge right now. You got a rope to pull me back in, so hopefully you can do some pulling.
Yeah, I think this team will. And to a couple points, I'm still holding out hope that the switch flips with Ortega, right? I don't expect him to be as bad as he was Tuesday all year. Maybe he is, and then that's a completely different conversation we're having. But I do think, I don't know if JQ coming back, fixes everything. If he can come back and be the level of player he was last year, and that is a big if. One thing I've learned throughout basketball a lot is guys that when they tear their ACL, they may be able to get back in 9 months, but it usually takes them a full season of playing to get back to the level they were at, to have trust in everything they were doing before. But we've seen it at this school in particular, having an elite shot blocker, rim protector can really make up for a lot of things. So if JQ can come back and be the player he was last year, I do think it'll help. Now, do I think they hold Louisville to 70 points on Tuesday night? No, probably not. But there would have been some moments where you probably would have gotten a stop or two. I'm down too. I get it, but I still think this team has the potential to be really good. I think Pope is going to have to tinker with the lineups, to your point. I do like that he came out and admitted, hey, this wasn't my best game plan. We waited way too long to make certain adjustments. Cam Williams, honestly, through the first, 2 games and 2 preseason games, what did he really show you? It wasn't a whole lot, but I do agree, this is a guy that you brought in, a guy that had as much NBA potential as really anybody outside of JQ on this team. There were scouts talking about him being a late first-round pick this year before these first 4 games. So I do think, especially when nothing else is going right, it probably wouldn't have killed you to throw him in there in the first half at some point. But I still think, you saw flashes, right? I'm not going to act like Tuesday night was good by any stretch, but there were flashes, and we're continuing to see that leap in Colin Chandler that we really were hoping for this year. So, maybe there's a world that Colin Chandler is one of your 3 best players, going forward, and he's shooting 50-something% from behind the arc. I don't expect him to continue that, but he's looking more and more comfortable defensively. He's looking more and more comfortable offensively outside of just shooting. So maybe Pope's going to have to tinker with the lineups. I get it. Hopefully he does. You saw him pull Ortega there at one point. You saw him pull Mo Diabate. For him to kind of get in that mindset and pull those guys, I do think was a step in the right direction, even though it probably came a little too late. But if you told me at any point throughout the year this year there was going to be a moment where Ortega wasn't on the floor in the last, 8 minutes of a game, I would have never believed you. And one, I think it was his performance based, but like two, I also wouldn't have believed that Pope would have pulled him in that situation. And we saw him do it. So I do think there is a little hope there. But I mean, I don't know. I can't pump you up and tell you this team's going to go to a Final Four after what we saw on Tuesday. What I will say is these games happen every year. They happened with Cal, they happen with Pope, they happen across college basketball, I think, every single year outside of two or three teams that are elite. It's the third game of the year. You got to play a true road game a lot earlier than you ever did. The effort was disgusting, and I'm extreme. That's the thing I'm most frustrated with, because this should be a game you can get up for. But on paper, when you take a step back and look at it, third game of the year, you're playing a true road game on November 11th or whatever the hell the date was. And I just think, like, I still think there's going to be a lot of highs for this team at some point, and there's probably going to be, more losses where we're scratching our head, and I think it's just all going to come down to how hot can this team get in March.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember this last year. How many times I begged for Ortega to come off the bench last year in the same system, and I felt like it would have done wonders for us then before Kobe actually started getting going. I feel like it's the same thing this year. I really do. I think there's just such better lineups to play when Jalen Lowe's out there with Denzel and Colin. And then you can actually run bigs out there because you have two guys that are able to shoot the ball. I think when you have Ortega playing 30 minutes a game, I think it really pigeonholes you into what you can do, because then you couldn't get Andrea Jelovich on the floor as much as you wanted to. You couldn't get Cam Williams on the floor. You couldn't really tinker with those lineups because you were playing Ortega so much. I just don't think Pope's going to do that, unfortunately. Like you mentioned, he pulled him for like the last 8 minutes. I think that was more of a, hey, we're down 20. Let's just throw all things at the fan and see what sticks. And I don't know. I'm down bad at the moment.
What?
And the thing is like, I genuinely think, and we've mentioned this all like off season. I think you have 3 lottery tickets on this team that can take you to a high level. None of those were Ortega Owe. None of them. You know what you're going to get from Ortega, and unfortunately at this point, it's lackluster effort. It's the ability to get to the rim if you need it, good transition offense, and if he's playing Oklahoma, he will lock in for a 10-minute stretch and just take over a game. I'd like to take a chance at one of those lottery tickets. I'd like to see how good can Cam Williams be. Usually NBA draft scouts aren't crazily wrong when they look at somebody like, oh, this guy's got first-round potential. You saw it in the 12 minutes. The guy had a plus. I mean, what was he? His plus minus, he ended up being.
The block and putback, like that's outside of just his shooting abilities. That was, I mean,
Yeah,
really the spark you needed. That block was a crazy athlete play, and the putback as well, and really kind of bolstered you to have a chance to make a run there.
yeah. I mean,
I am
5
curious.
points, 4 boards, a block
Yep.
in 12 minutes, plus 11 for the game. And you don't try that until the end of the, like, you kind of prefaced it by saying he really hadn't shown you anything in the first 2 games and the 2 exhibitions before that. He's got to be showing you some of this in practice. Like there's no way this isn't being shown on the practice floor. And he's mentioned how well that he shoots in practice. He's got length. He's got athleticism. This is a game in which you needed that.
Yep.
Obviously, you were getting burnt left and right by Mikael Brown and Ryan Conwell. How nice would it have been to, instead of them switching on Brandon Garrison or Mo Diabate there for a while, they were switching to Cam Williams, who's a long, lanky athlete who, at least if they're going to make those tough contested shots, like they did make a couple of those, they're at least going to have to shoot it over some length and some athleticism. I don't understand what Coach Pope was doing in this game. I really don't. I want to take the lottery tickets and see what Jelovich has, see what Colin Chandler does, see what Cam Williams is able to do. Because I think you're looking at a world where, you mentioned it, Colin Chandler is one of your 3 best players. I mean, so far in the season, he's easily been in your top 3 players. Obviously, you're hoping Jaden Quaintance gets back into that. I mean, is there a world where you're looking at a lot of these guys on the bench and they end up being your better players? I think we know what Mohamed Diabate is going to bring to the floor. I like Mohamed Diabate. This was just a game he couldn't play. And I think that was evident early. I think Pope did actually make that switch, but he made the switch to playing Ortega more and just featuring Ortega more, which I don't understand or agree with. I don't know, man. I just, I
No, I
keep,
get it.
and the thing is, like, I know how crazy a lot of this sounds. Like, we just scored 88 points, and I understand that. I genuinely don't think Louisville played well defensively either. Like,
I don't either. Yeah.
we had a lot of open shots, and don't get me wrong, Louisville is going to be a good team, and I think Kelsey coach circles around Coach Pope in this one, but I didn't see anything that they were doing defensively. They don't have great athletes. I think that we couldn't get around, and I think we sold ourselves short by scoring 88. I think this is a game that if we play this exact same game in January, we probably score well over 100. Honestly, they probably do too. They probably don't miss 7 straight free throws at one point and miss a bunch of wide open threes as well. But I don't know, man. I don't think this is something that JQ fixes. I think this is something that is going to have to honestly have a heartfelt conversation with the fan favorite of the team. And it's just going to have to be like hey, man, love you. You're not getting 30 minutes a game. 20 minutes, you're coming off the bench. You can be that guy if we need a bucket and we can't find a way to get another bucket, you're that guy. Because I'd like to see him more running with Jasper Johnson. I'd rather see him be a little bit more of that calming presence where Jasper can just hand it off to Ortega late in the shot clock if he wasn't able to get something going. I'd like to be able to see that more than I'd rather see him running with Lowe and Aberdeen.
Yeah. I do want to ask you what's your kind of thoughts on Diabate? Like, obviously, this was somebody we were extremely high on. Do you think there's a world where you can be a really good team and playing him at the 4, or is he going to have to kind of be your small ball lineup 5?
I don't think he can be the small ball 5, just solely because I don't think we care enough to rebound with those small guys that are out there. Like Ortega did grab 5 boards in this game, but none of those were in traffic. I don't think we have guys that can rebound the ball in traffic. I think Malachi, as of right now, is the only one who can at least attempt to do that. I think Cam Williams did a great job of that when he came in. I think that's really what you're hoping for with Jaden Quaintance when he comes back in, is being that traffic rebounder. I don't think you can play him at the 5, but I don't want Brandon Garrison to be that 5 either. I think if you're going to have Diabate starting, you have to have that 5 be a shooter of some sort. And that's why maybe it's Cam Williams at the 4 and Diabate at the 5, and that's how you get him out there, and Cam can be that rebounder, even if it's Yelovich being the 5. Yeah. You have to get shooting on the floor, because with Diabate, Jalen Lowe, and Ortega Owe on the floor,
I agree completely.
That's 3 guys who are overtly bad at shooting. Yeah. And then you add in a guy like Jalen Lowe, who, what did he shoot from 3 last year at Pitt? Like 29%?
Yeah, he took a lot of bad ones, and you
I
saw
know
him
he did,
kind of.
I'm saying
and
your second best shooter on the floor would be that guy, and then Denzel Aberdeen would be the first, and I think he shot like 34% from 3 last year. So you're looking at your go-to shooter there would be either a guy coming back in his second year who, while you and I have been as high on him as probably any other Kentucky podcast, and Colin Chandler, I don't think we're marking him down as the dead-eye shooter for this team for the rest of the season just yet. I don't know. That's why
I say maybe it is Chandler. I'm not going to say he's Kobe Barea, but maybe he is. We saw him at the end of last year make a bunch, and so far he's looked really good and really comfortable when you haven't had him play the point guard. So there is a world.
That question back on you. Because that's why I started off with saying this is I don't know a lineup that I think Pope will run that I would love to see out there right now.
Yeah.
Because the lineup that I loved was the one that went +8. That's the lineup that I loved. He had Colin, Cam, Lowe, Aberdeen, and Yelovich. I think that's a fantastic lineup. And I think that's a lineup you're getting the most effort from those guys as well. You saw Cam Williams go out there defensively. You mentioned the block he had, the putback dunk. Yelovich was our best our best defender off of screens somehow. Colin Chandler gives you the most effort out there when he's on the ball. Aberdeen was your best scorer. Jalen didn't play well, but I mean, you're also talking about a guy who had separated his shoulder 2 weeks ago and is playing in probably the biggest game of his college career, where he's supposed to be the guy taking over for Point Guard University. And I mean, that would be the lineup that I would run. I don't see a world in which he benches Garrison, Diabate, and Ortega, and that's why I'm scared, because I really love that lineup, and I just don't think it's ever going to come to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see. Again, we're 3 games in, so it is hard to get really any good sample size of
This
what
is why it's Kentucky. We overreact on all of this.
No, definitely. Like we do.
I hit the panic button on game 3, and I'm over here about to, go find the bridge and have you pull me back off of it.
And it doesn't help that, it's Louisville, right? That obviously takes everything up another notch. The fact that you played this bad and
those
it's against
sewer
the
rats
team
can fucking get back out of the Ohio River and just crawl back from their 8-year hiatus.
I will tell you, like, I think my ideal lineup, I think you're gonna have a hard time keeping Malachi Moreno out of there. He has, I mean, even Tuesday night, I mean, he obviously didn't play the way he played against Valpo and went out there and hit 18 and 10, but like he still showed me stuff that impressed me. And with the alternative of BG, I'm taking Malachi any day.
The thing with BG that, like, don't get me wrong, I was not expecting a lot from Brandon Garrison. I don't think either one of us were. But
I picked him to be MVP. Hang on.
I'm talking about for like the full season.
Year. Yeah.
The full season. I don't think either one of us expected that for him to take a big jump or anything. But dude, give me something. Like, get me to the point where, like, I shouldn't be 3 games into the season after we've played 2 lackluster opponents and obviously a really good Louisville team and our biggest rival. But I shouldn't be 3 games into the season already looking to that true freshman who you and I 3 months ago would have said, he's not going to play too much.
Yeah,
he's probably
11th man.
He's probably going to be here for a couple years. Now you're looking at you mentioned it yesterday. Chance Malachi Moreno's a one and done. There's a chance. There's no way that we should be at this point with Brandon Garrison already, and it's disappointing because you hear about all the year 2 Coach Pope jumps. I'm only seeing that from one guy as of right now, and that's Colin Chandler. And is that more because of it's his second year with Coach Pope, or is this just because it's his second year playing basketball consecutive after having a 2-year Mormon mission? So I don't know, man. It's tough. It's a tough scene.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating. I'll switch it up a little bit, and I do want to talk. You mentioned it, like how good Pat Kelsey's game plan is. I think he had a really good game plan both offensively and defensively. I thought his game plan, obviously, offensively to attack, Ortega and Jalen Lowe when he was in and make sure you work to get those guys in those matchups was obviously huge. And then you mentioned Louisville's not a great defensive team. One thing I will say they did really good is how they attacked our on-ball screens.
That was incredible.
Every single time the second there was a screen, both guys just went to the ball handler and slowed it down enough to where they could get back in position and take away really anything you wanted to do.
We had no answer for it at all.
No. And that's back to your point of our offense was starting 30, 35 feet away from the basket. It was because as soon as we set a screen at the top of the key, Lowe or Aberdeen, whoever it was, had to pull the ball back out to reset it up. So I will say, Pat,
offense without a screen at the top of the can we do that? Is that an option as well?
Yeah, and I'm sure it felt like also that was one of the adjustments Pope made. In the last 10 minutes, he admitted again everything was just too late, and I do give him credit for admitting that. That's not something I think we would have heard the last coach admit. Also, the last coach probably wouldn't even have tried to make the adjustments 10 minutes with 10 minutes to go. But I don't know. I'm still high on this team. It's obviously a very frustrating and disappointing loss and game. We watched it together. I don't think I was in a very good mood. I think I went to bed the second you guys left this house because I didn't even want to think about anything. Actually, that's not true. I sat there and texted my brother-in-law, who's a Louisville fan, and pretty much just complained about life and told him I'm done watching sports and all sports are stupid. So,
He's not being kind to us this year, that's for sure.
yeah. But yeah, as far as the fix, I'm still obviously really high on Coach Pope. I think he'll try to figure something out. The Ortega thing, I don't expect him to play this bad, but who knows? Maybe we're 3 weeks from now and we're still having the same conversation, and then I might have a different tune on this team.
The thing about Ortega is I just don't know if these are fixable. Like, there are certain things in basketball that are fixable. I don't think – I mean, if he gets this information in the offseason that, hey, you got to go back to school and you got to fix that three-point shot and you have to work defensively because right now that's – if this is what he puts out the first time that he's challenged with that task,
yeah,
I just don't know if it's something that's going to be fixable. And I think Coach Pope has an allegiance with him. I really do. Like, I think he has, like, they're, like, tied at the hip. They have a great relationship, which is why we love Pope, the relationships that he creates with his players on and off the court. Let me ask you this. Do you think if it comes to that, like, let's say we see 2 full more weeks of Ortega doing this offensively and defensively, do you think Pope will make that switch, or you think this is something that we're just going to ride out with?
I think he would ride it out for longer than 2 weeks, but I do think, like, if you got to January and you're in SEC play and we've lost 3, 4, 5 non-conference
Do you think we
games,
have to lose those games for that to happen, or do you think it has to be like, can Ortega play poorly, we win, and he still makes those switches? Or do you think he just keeps going with it just because we're winning games?
I don't know. I guess it would kind of depend on, like, how you win. If every game is ugly and you find a way to scrape one out because, Colin Chandler goes for 30 and then another night Aberdeen goes for 30 and another night Lowe hits a buzzer beater or something, like, yeah, then maybe it's a little different. But I do think, like, I don't expect Pope to make a switch in a couple weeks, but if we go a couple months and Ortega's not look good and the team is struggling as a whole, then I think Pope would make the switch. I mean, I think he'll maybe ride it out a little too long, but, like, I don't expect it to be a Cal and DJ Wagner, situation. I think there will come a point where Pope gets it. Like, he knows, like, how important it is to win here. And again, if everything's going as poorly as it looked like Tuesday night and we do this and we lose to North Carolina at home and Michigan State in a week and Gonzaga and all these games, St. John's, then I think he would just have to. And I don't know. But you also don't know if you're not starting Ortega, like, there could be a world where I know he's giving you nothing now, but, like, he could really give you nothing and, not even be out there essentially. So I do think Pope will go longer than a few weeks, but if push came to shove by January, I think he would make that switch.
Jake, have you ever seen the movie Eddie with Whoopi Goldberg?
I have not.
You have not. Okay, it's the basketball movie where Whoopi Goldberg takes over the New York Knicks and is the head coach.
Oh, wow. Can't believe I missed that one.
It's actually a pretty solid movie. A lot of NBA players in there. Pretty solid. I actually highly recommend. But, so there's this, obviously, star player on the Knicks. It's a very bad losing team. Stacey Patton, great all-star player. She benches him. She's a fan that takes over for the team as the head coach. She benches him. Couple weeks, whatever. You come back now, guess what? He's finally got it. It's finally clocked.
Maybe, yeah.
And you get a re-energized guy. I'm not saying fully bench him. I'm not saying go full Whoopi Goldberg. I don't think anybody should go full Whoopi Goldberg. But, I mean, dude, I think...
Can't believe I missed that movie.
I honestly think he's been drinking the Kool-Aid for a little bit too much of this offseason. Like, I think he's received Big Blue Nation's love. Because remember, this time last year, we were talking about who's getting that starting spot. And we weren't sure if it was Ortega, if it was Kobe Brea, who was getting that. And then he turned into being a 16-point scorer and had a great season, comes back, feels the love from BBN all off season.
The thing that like kills it for me is just, I just expected Ortega to be that constant, right? Like the consistent guy that's going to go out
He
there.
wasn't that last year, so I was just never I tried to talk myself into that this offseason, thinking like this is what he was going to work through during the season, and we were finally going to get that full, consistent effort because this is the guy who has to go to the NBA draft after this. Like that's
Yeah.
it. There is no more playing. There is no more college. There is no more NIL. If he's wanting to continue making this amount of money that he's making now, he has to put consistent effort on both sides of the ball, which the NBA told him to do. Fix that 3-point shot, and if it's not evident through the first 5 games of the season, obviously 2 of them didn't count. I don't think it's going to be, and that's why I'm concerned because I didn't think we were going to get the consistency from him. I was just kind of talking myself into it with the offseason hype.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of thought he would be that consistent. I didn't think we needed him to be the SEC Player of the Year for this team to be good. I just thought
I
you
still don't
needed
think
him
we
to.
do either. Yeah.
No, and I agree, but I don't know how good you can be like if he's not playing or playing a lot of games like he played Tuesday night. Then I think you need him to be one of your better players on this team for this team to be really good, in my opinion. So I don't know what you do with him. Again, I'm just chalking it up as 3rd game of the year. Maybe I'll, have a little bit of coping and say it's because he missed 10 weeks in a row in the off season right before the season started. That's just the UK fan in me trying to get myself there. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, it obviously doesn't look good. I'm not going to act like it looks good.
Yeah, and the part that kind of hurts me is like when are we going to get this cohesion for this team? Like Jalen's probably going to miss this game. And it already feels like last year. I mean, you have the exact same shoulder sling on there. Obviously, we didn't get a 33-point performance from Jalen yesterday, but it already feels like last year where you're already trying to rotate guys in that may not be ready for it. You're already having to probably lean on Ortega more than you want to. Man, I'll talk myself.
The one good thing, like I will say, is we're in November, right? And we're dealing with this as opposed to Lamont being banged up really all throughout SEC play. So there is a world. You go through these next few weeks, you go through some growing pains, you get Low fully healthy in 3-4 weeks, and you're ready to go. I'd rather deal with these issues, both with the injury and the play, here on November 13th than I would if all this was popping up in February. So
yeah. I mean, obviously I agree. I don't know,
it's
man.
frustrating. I mean, it's Louisville. We don't ever want to lose to Louisville.
I mean, there's panic buttons more. I think that I'm just sounding from because when you look at it and you look at the Georgetown game specifically, and you look at it and you're like, oh, 1-game blip. They had just beaten Purdue. Maybe you kind of like give them some excuses.
And I will say, like, this team's not going to be good if Low and Aberdeen are not in. Like, we're not going to beat probably anybody in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but the same way in which we lost in that game is the same way we lost in this game, and it was allowing 2 guards to get to wherever they wanted to and be able to score on you at will with getting certain guys off of ball screens, and that's what I'm worried about because obviously, like, go watch Alabama play in their guards with Phylon. I mean, they're playing Purdue right now, and that was I think it was like a 3-point game at halftime when we jumped on here. I mean, I don't see a world in which if we can't get these guys to lock in defensively, Ortega, Jalen Lowe, or find ways in which we can scheme that to not switch on every ball screen like we were. I think you actually saw that at the end. They stopped switching Jalen Lowe on every ball screen. They just had him take the screener. They did that at some point. I think you're probably at that point with Ortega. You're gonna have to do that as well. But then at what point do you just got to tell these guys, hey, you got to step up. You're the 2 stars on the team. You're outside of JQ, you're the 2 highest paid guys on the team, and we need you to step up. I just don't. I'm hoping they're going to do it. I'm not sounding the alarm bells on Jalen Lowe. I'm sounding the alarm bells on one player in particular.
Yeah.
But all that being said, I sounded these all last year too. So I mean, and he still had a great year last year. Hopefully. I just don't know how good a team can be if Ortega is your best player. I think Sweet 16 is right where you're at if Ortega is your best player, and that's what I'm scared about.
Yeah, and I said, Ortega's got to be one of your best players for this team to, I think, be really good. I still believe that, but I am with you. I don't know if you want him to be your best player. Like, if Ortega is your second or third best player, I think you can be really good. I do want to mention we've talked a lot about Lowe. I thought, obviously, outside of the last 4 minutes of the game where I think he kind of cost you a chance, you
Yeah,
know, there was still a lot of really good things
you're
there.
incredible.
Right? Like the first half, I was slapping you on the arm, and I'm like, this is why he's so valuable. I mean, we watched him 2 straight plays pretty much get right into the lane and throw a lob to Malachi and somebody else. Actually, I think they were both to Malachi. And I'm like, this is like what he can create, what he can do. He was really valuable in the comeback effort there in the second half. And then it was just once he got that, foul and missed the front end of the 1-on-1, everything, all the wheels came off. I mean, that pull up three in transition was really bad. Ran it. Yeah. I mean, a lot of just really bad things in the last 3 minutes, but he also, I think, showed you how he can be so good. So he's a player that I think if Pope can just get under control in the last 3 minutes and tell him, hey, you're not at Pitt. With 3 minutes to go, I don't need you to go play hero ball. Play the game that you've played for the first 37 minutes of this game, and we'll be fine. So hopefully that was just kind of a teaching moment for him and something he can learn from, because I do think when he's healthy, he gives this team something that nobody else can with his quickness, and honestly, his passing ability has been a lot better than I expected. You saw it in Valpo. He had 5 assists in the first half when he came in, made some really nice passes last night or 2 nights ago. I just think you got to kind of get him out of that mindset here with 3 minutes to go that, hey, we don't need you to be the hero in this point. Now,
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson.
Yep.
We're almost 47 minutes in. I feel like we've talked about the game enough.
I still got some more. I still got some.
I'm going to leave the floor to you real quick to give your thoughts on Pope's comments today.
Before I get there, because I just wanted to.
The floor is yours. You can have these next 15. I don't care.
I just want to react to what you said there. The thing I think that would actually help Jalen Lowe a lot is genuinely not having Ortega on the floor. And listen, I know it's not like I'm taking a lot of shots at Ortega. I don't think having a 2/3 that can't really shoot, and if they get matched up where they're in any ball screen defense with each other,
Yeah,
like
it's over.
that's a guaranteed bucket. And you mentioned right now, like if Brandon Garrison's running your 5, you're not getting block shots. And then if you do run small with Mohamed Diabate, you're not getting block shots. You're not even really getting contest at the rim. That's why, I think Jalen can be really good for this team. And I mean, he even shot the ball better than I thought he would from 3. Went 2 for 5. He obviously mentioned the first 4 minutes that he played were like, holy shit, we got one here. How did Pitt let this guy go? Like, how did they just not give him their entire, NIL money they had saved up? And then the last 4 minutes, you're like, why the hell did Kentucky go get this guy? Like, I don't know what we're doing. And you mentioned it all start with that missed 1-and-1. Crazy things. We're talking about like how bad we thought this team played.
They were down 4 with 4 minutes.
Line with a 1-and-1 with a chance to get back into the game. We felt like we played that bad. And I'm sure if you're listening to Louisville podcast right now, they're talking about like, oh, how great they played, how good they are, and all that stuff right now. But
real quick before we move on, can I take a little bit of credit? And nobody outside of you is going to really understand what I'm talking about, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Sure.
So for the audience, me and Cam were watching the game together. Had a few people over. We go down 20. Our one buddy gets up and leaves. He says, I'm going home. I'm like, I can't be doing that. Obviously, 1, I'm at my house, but 2, I got to watch the game.
That was the biggest reason.
I told these guys, I said, look, it's trash night. I need to take my trash out. We had pizza upstairs I needed to put away. I'm like, I'm going to walk away for like 5 minutes. I'm going to do this stuff. And I told them we were down 20. I said, when I come back, we're going to be down 9, and we're going to get back in this game and make it a game. And I would like to say I kind of flipped that mini comeback. I know we didn't win, so it doesn't matter. But right when I came back downstairs, you were walking upstairs, and I said, what's the score? You said we're down 8. It's just Maybe I should have walked away again, but
You should have never came downstairs. Maybe maybe instead of you giving yourself credit here, you really should be taking fault. Is what I'm hearing.
oh no. Hey, I did my part. I'm a plus 11 on the stat sheet right now.
Yeah, Jake. While I ad lib here, will you pull up Mark Pope's quote here so we can get it exactly right?
Yeah.
You kind of threw the floor to me with that. He talked about the pregame experience that Kentucky had, and it wasn't up to their usual character. I'll let you get that exact quote so I don't misquote him here. I listened to the entire press conference. I don't he took accountability for this game, but he also was just talking about we don't have enough data points. Yeah, I get it's early in the season. A lot of these guys haven't played together. Pat Kelsey had the same thing. This is only their third game of the season. A lot of those guys haven't played together. Michael Brown and Ryan Conwell have never played together. McNeely's never played with them. We've probably got more cohesion on this team than they did theirs. I mean, how many guys did they have returning? Two? I don't know. The whole press conference kind of irritated me, and it's one of the first times I've actually gotten irritated with a Mark Pope press conference. But if you have that quote, go ahead and say it for us. What Pope said at the press conference today, previewing the Illinois game.
I won't read the whole thing because it is kind of long. But he said, "I actually think we did. I'm not ready to tell the story yet, but at some point we'll talk in detail about our pregame experience at Louisville. It was out of character for us." Sorry, an ad popped up. It was out of character for us. That's young and new. I actually don't want to keep our emotions in check. I want them to keep focused, and I want them to keep them intentional. I want our guys to have all of the emotions. First of all, what's the point if you can't have the emotions? But I don't want our guys to be run by emotions. I want them to focus on their emotions.
Yeah. So, first off, if you're not going to dive into it, why bring it up at all? I think that's my first reaction to just hearing what he had to say, because then it just comes out as an excuse. Is really all it sounds like. At least in my opinion, it just sounds like, let's buy these guys some time, get the criticism off of their back. We just had a bad pregame experience, and then you start thinking about it. It's like, okay, there's so many things that go into a pregame experience. Was it a teammate and a coach that were spouting at each other? Was there something between teammates in the locker room before the game? Was there something between the team and fans? I feel like if it was the team and fans, we probably would have heard of something by now, and it probably would have leaked out. So I would assume it's probably not that. But the frustrating part, I think, is just none of us knew that. Don't bring it up and then not say anything. As someone who doesn't do best with anxiety, that's the worst thing you can do is do that. That's awful. I mean, I'd love to hear I know you kind of took it a different way than I did, but I'd love to hear what you had to think about it too.
Yeah, I took it a different way. Now, I will say I completely agree with you that, if you're not wanting to talk about it, you probably should have brought it up, because I do think it comes to this speculation of something that's much worse than I think what Pope was trying to get at. The quote itself, I felt like sounds a lot worse. You sent me just kind of the screenshot of it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really know what to make of that. And then when you kind of hear Pope talk about it, I didn't really gather him saying it as an excuse. I also didn't take it as him taking up for his players. I thought it was more of what I assume the experience is, and again, we're all speculating because he didn't tell us. I took it as he was just saying these guys' emotions were out of control. And it could have been
floor, because they didn't show it on the floor.
Yeah,
at least,
I don't know. Maybe they all started focusing on the wrong things, or with this rivalry. Because later in the quote, he mentioned somebody he thought played well within the checks of their emotions. It might have been Cam Williams or Malachi. I almost took it as he was just saying our guys weren't doing what they were supposed to pregame. And what's the reason for that? I don't know. But I didn't really take it as, him making an excuse for his guys. I almost took it more of almost not a shot at him, because he didn't obviously throw anybody under the bus or say anything real bad. And maybe that's why he didn't want to give details about it, because he didn't want it to make it seem like he's throwing his guys completely under the bus. But I felt like he was saying more so, our guys weren't mentally focused for this game. And when you're playing your biggest rival on their home floor, that's inexcusable. So that was my read on it. We obviously won't know until he comes out and gives us more details. But I do agree. You probably don't say it if you're not willing to talk about it, or you just say like,
It's like,
hey,
why even?
yeah, or you just say like, hey, our pregame, we didn't have the best focus, unfortunately, and that's something we're going to work to correct.
Yeah, I mean, you don't let people like us, the media, fill in those cracks with what
Yep.
we thought it was, because speculation is probably worse than what the truth is. And
Absolutely.
like, the thing is, like, if they're not mentally ready for the game, whose shoulders does that fall on? Like, coach, it falls on
Yeah,
yours. They're not
I agree.
ready for the game. And he mentioned a little later, if we got the chance to watch that full interview, they do those like body language grades for how
Yeah.
people act on the bench and body language throughout the entire game. And he said 3 people graded underwater, which I'm assuming is just like a fail grade on that. Jake, let's go ahead and full speculate here. Who are those 3 that you think that failed? I'm gonna give you 2 definites, and I think the third one's probably a wild card. Ortega and Muhammad. I mean, there was no
Yeah.
energy from either one of them, either on the bench or on the court. So I think those are 2 from the jump. Who do you
I
think that
mean,
third
if you're telling me it's 3, I would think it was Garrison, because I didn't see a lot of good things out of him. Maybe you didn't love what you saw from Jasper,
That's where I was going initially.
but I mean, I do think Ortega and Mo are an obvious 1 and 2, and yeah, I don't know. I didn't. The problem
It's all
was is the
we
problem, and the other part. Yeah,
bench.
we're not watching the bench. Jasper was only in for a handful of minutes.
Got a
You
shot
know,
some.
yeah, yeah. I
Got his
mean,
shot.
when he came in, we were still down pretty big, so I almost didn't mind him heaving one up. But
Well, he came in that first time, and I looked at you, and he almost pulled up from 28 feet
yeah,
contested. And I was like, dude, if he pulls, put him right back down on the bench.
yeah,
And then he did
yeah,
it the very next possession, and Pope pulled him and put him right on the
yeah.
bench. But that's the
Yeah,
thing.
so maybe it was Jasper. Maybe when he was walking off,
Yeah.
after
And we
getting
mentioned
pulled.
this is going to be the Jasper Johnson roller coaster. Like we mentioned, there's going to be games. You kind of talked about the Rob Dillingham experience. There's going to be games where you look at him like, we won this game because he came in like a microwave and just got hot for
Yep.
10 minutes and put up 14 points on the board real quick. This is one of those games where, especially for a Kentucky kid, I think this might have been in his head a little bit, trying to put on for the state, trying to prove, I mean, this was a pretty big matchup for him. 5-star guard versus 5-star guard, Michael Brown versus Jasper Johnson. I mean, 2 of the top guards in the country.
They're in different stratospheres.
Oh, they very much are. But I'm saying from a guy who,
Yeah.
has that pedigree, you don't look at it like that. You obviously
No.
think you're better. He's going to try and come in and get those points. And unfortunately, I think he did it a little bit selfishly in this game. But yeah, he said that. I kind of want to get what your thoughts were, because I think we both unanimously agree on who 1 and 2 were. Third one is up for speculation. Obviously, we're watching the game on the court. We're not usually watching the bench. The only time we can really see it's when they pan it to him at, halftime and during timeout and TV breaks. So, but I thought that was interesting to say, because he said like nobody has been underwater in any of the exhibitions or anything, and to have 3 all in one game was kind of disappointing to see.
Yeah, and just not something I expected, right? Like I said there was no way we would lose to Louisville. Obviously, like we were a 6.5-point underdog. There was a real world we lost. But like I didn't expect the lack of effort from multiple guys. And I didn't expect certain guys just seemed like they didn't want to be there. And I gotta say, real quick, back to Ortega. I'll comment on him, so you don't have to drag him anymore. But like, you can't sit there and you can't sit there and talk about the prior comments and just be like, I can't wait to get out on the floor, and then that's what you come out with.
I mean, at least he did more than Kashawn Pryor did, though. I mean, at least I guess.
I get it, but like, you can't say like I can't wait to get out there and meet him on the floor, and then that's kind of what you did. So,
I mean, Jake, in all fairness, like you had more impact on this game than Kashawn Pryor did. So, I mean, there's that as well.
That is true. I put up some numbers Tuesday night.
Yeah, McQueen was fading, though, for sure at the end of that night. But
Come on, man. I had to work.
I'll tell you what. I mean, we do have what should be a tune-up game.
Yep.
I would assume Jalen's not playing. I think you would assume the same thing, right?
I can't imagine if he dislocated his shoulder again today that he would be out there on Friday. I expect to not see him for a few weeks. Obviously, that's just pure speculation. I haven't read anything on it, but I just think maybe they think they might have even brought him back a little too soon this time around, so maybe they keep him out a little longer and try to really get it healed up. But I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know much about dislocated shoulders.
I am sure not a doctor either, as you can tell by the recording studio that we have here. I'd be in a little bit better one. I think we'd have a little bit more high-fangled equipment. I wouldn't use terms like high-fangled either. So we got all that going for us. But obviously, we play Eastern Illinois tune-up game. What are you looking to see, especially if we don't have Jalen Lowe out there? Is there anything that this team actually can do against a team like Eastern Illinois that makes you feel better? I don't think so personally.
I mean, yeah, probably not a ton because, again, like we saw them play really well against Valpo. So, like, maybe there can be some more concerns if they don't come out and do that. But, I'd like to see them handle Eastern Illinois in a similar fashion to kind of how you played against Valpo. But nothing that's going to really get me back in the headspace I was probably until after Michigan State on Tuesday night.
Yeah. And then if Jalen's not playing, I mean, I don't know if I'm looking forward to that Michigan State game. I watched them obviously take down Cal and Arkansas. Have we been able to talk? Have we been able to talk on here? Let's
that was a Cal masterclass there at the end of the year.
Snap back three.
7-footer. No offense with down 3 with 3 seconds left. Like bad inbounds plays. Well, no inbounds plays that you turn the ball over because you're not running a play. Like that was Cal masterclass, man. That was as down bad as we are. We still don't have Calipari here.
Yeah, and I think that's something we can be thankful for. Although I'm starting to get a little bit of that. Coach is. I have not been a fan of what Coach Pope has done. At least that's 3 games of the season. 3 games of the season. So it's very early. We will have you covered for the Eastern Illinois game. That is all for
real quick before we leave. Is there a world you could have imagined 2 weeks ago that football vibes would be up here and the basketball vibes would be down here? If you said this 2 weeks ago, I would have never believed you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Crazy thing is,
we're going 7-5 now in football. I'm all the way back in.
What about 8-5? 8?
Well, yeah, I mean that's a gimme once you get to the bowl game.
So the thing is about that is I'm pretty sure it's in Stoops' contract that triggers an extension.
Yeah, we'll talk about that stuff later.
But we have to face Tennessee Tech, who 10-0, Jacob.
We already talked about that. We're good.
I know we did, but still, I'll be there live in attendance, not on behalf of the UK media team, but on behalf of my own pocketbook.
I will be watching that one on my phone in a deer stand this weekend. So,
well, if I hear some guy got shot out in a deer stand from celebrating, he accidentally shot himself, I will know that is you. But that is going to be all for us here on the Cats Talk podcast. We'll have you covered from this Eastern Illinois game on Friday. That episode will probably drop on Monday and previewing you for the Michigan State game on Tuesday because State Farm Classic. We're 1-0 since Coach Pope's been here. Do we go to 2-0? Maybe? I don't know. We'll figure it out. But we'll have you covered here on the Cats Talk podcast. Follow us on Instagram, on X, on TikTok, and we're everywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Follow us wherever you can. Jake, it's been a tough week. Lady Cats are 4-0, though. Football team's trending in the right direction. Who would have thought we would have had to have peppered in some positivity from the basketball program? But here we are. So that's all we got for you.
It's early.
That's all we got for you here. Jake says it's early. It's early. We still got time. That's all we got for you, Big Blue Nation. Go Big Blue.
Go Big Blue.